Hey all, Megaman Zero, your Let's Player for today. The game of choice this time is one near and dear to me because it was the first Fit series I ever played. That's right, it's Megaman Zero 2 for the GBA. When last we left our hero, Zero was stranded in the middle of a desert after defeating the nefarious Copy X. This game starts with a short intro that sums up the events of the intervening year, which I'll be cutting out for. Enjoy! And here we go. Because we've been wandering around this desert for the past year while killing the Pantheons, those blue freaks over there, we are not looking too good, and as you can see, we're actually stuck in our wounded animation. Our menu screen is also looking pretty worse for wear. It's covered with pockmarks, static, and the entire elf subscreen is blown to bits and inaccessible. Even our profile icon looks pretty bad. We've also lost two of our weapons from the past game, the Triple Rod and Shield Boomerang, and the two we still have, the Z-Saber and Z-Buster, are both de-leveled to their simplest forms. Because of this, we're limited to our simplest of moves, which we can practice on these guys. We can shoot them in the face, slash them with our saber, and because it has it naturally, we're able to charge our Buster up to its first form, which cuts through them like butter because it has piercing damage. They come infinitely from the left, but if you kill a certain number of them, you're able to get this little quote. It's not at all necessary to get, but because ranking requires you to kill a certain number of enemies, we'll be getting it anyway. The stage is called the Sand Wilderness, and the music playing is called Departure. It's very nice, very rockin', and I really enjoy it. Quite nostalgic for me. But otherwise, the stage is relatively simplistic until you get to this. He is the Golem type E, and he is our mid-boss of the day. He's a relative of the Golem type A, the intro boss of the first game, and he's really simplistic. He only has two attacks. He'll either charge the lasers on the left side of his body, and in order to dodge that, you just have to run away. And if he charges the lasers on the right side of his body, you just need to get nice, up close, and personal with him. We then encounter another one, and the only difference between this and the last one is that pit you see there. Bit of a danger, but it shouldn't pose too much problem. Their hitbox is a bit wonky though, and if you try to get up and hit them with the saber, you're quite liable to get hit yourself, so I wouldn't recommend it. You should just, shoot them in the face. Once you kill them, he'll drop this. It's a Cyber Elf returning from the last game. They're basically power-ups that you can use. Unfortunately, we can't use it right now because our elf subscreen is inaccessible. And they also give you a mission penalty if you use them, which isn't nice. Unlike the last game, though, we get to see their names when we pick them up instead of just seeing we got an elf, which is a distinct improvement. The vultures are also returning from the last game. They jump up then come down. They were in the desert stages from the last game, but, nice little cameo. Short stage regardless. This bit's a bit weird, because I could easily kill them, but instead we have to wait for that. Odd. Okay then. This guy's Mega Scorpia, and he is our intro boss of the day. He is relatively easy, given that he is an intro boss, but he can still rough you up pretty well. He shoots out his pincer here, which is actually separate from his normal health bar. You can kill it separately as well, like so. Other than that, he'll use his tail to spike the ground, and when he creates the hole there, you cannot actually wall jump up that. If you fall down, you're dead. There's no way to survive. And lastly, he'll shoot those little pellets out of what remains of his right pincer, but other than that, he's got nothing on us. Only one health bar, so he goes down pretty quickly, but he is exploding right on top of us, which cannot be good for our health. This is our results screen. It's pretty much the same as the last game. The different sections are mission, which involves mission-specific objectives. There weren't any in this stage, but when they do come into play, I'll mention them. Clear time, we have to finish under a certain time. Enemy, we have to kill a certain number of enemies. Damage, don't get damaged. Retry, don't retry. And elf, don't use elves. We're a hero because we got 100 points and we got our S rank. There'll be many more of those where they came from. These two are both cameos from the last game. The dude in the foreground is Sage Harpuya, one of the four guardians of Neo Arcadia, and the one in the background, his trusty steed, is Aztec Falcon, one of the bosses from the last game. They're both our enemies, though, which does not bode well for us. Long cutscene coming up, and I'll be cutting out for the entirety of it.
And here we are. Freshly repaired, we're now free to explore the rest of the Resistance base. But first, let's check out our spiffy new menu screen. Apparently, while we were unconscious, we had our entire interface revamped. And in addition to the sexy new color scheme, we also have an entirely new section showing us forms and EX skills. We only have one form right now, and we have no idea what those are, so we'll leave that for later. In the meantime, let's check out our elf subscreen, which is newly accessible. We can check out all the different elves that we just picked up in the last stage. However, most of them are completely useless, and we won't be using them anyway, so we'll just let them be. This guy's a familiar face from the last game. He's one of many generic Resistance mooks, and it's nice to see that at least one of them survived our absence, seeing as they had an unfortunate tendency to die horribly. Now, we'd go and explore the rest of the Resistance base right now, but unfortunately he is channeling the spirit of Fadass from the last game, and will not let us through no matter what we do. So we'll head off in the opposite direction. Pretty Boy here will be replacing CL as our mission giver for this game, and he's nice enough. He's obviously quite different from CL, both in terms of looks and personality. The man's a little more mature than her, which makes sense given her young age. And he's nice enough and tries to introduce himself to Zero, but Zero ain't having any of that shit and is rather rude, if I do say so myself. Now Paizo does pick up on that, and their relationship does not get off to the best of starts. Not sure what's up with that. Zero needs to work on his people skills. Maybe he just doesn't like El Paizo's gaudy clothing. Oh, this is awkward. Let's head out. Obviously, the Resistance base is looking quite different. It's an entirely new base, and it definitely needed to be replaced. This guy's Servo. He's returning first from the last game. His name means brain in French, and it makes sense seeing as he's the inventor of the Resistance. He gave us our different weapons in the last game, and he'll be doing the same in this one, with the exception of our triple rod. That one got shattered so badly he couldn't save it, so instead, he repaired it in the form of our new chain rod, which we'll be trying out in a second. It's a drastic improvement over the rather unfortunate triple rod of the last game. Whereas the triple rod was a normal, just rod-type attacking weapon, this one's more of a grappling hook. You can hook onto objects and the ceiling, swing around and manipulate them. It's very useful for both traversal and puzzle solving. The shield boomerang, on the other hand, is the same as always. You take it out, you can block normal energy shots with it, and after charging for a bit, you can throw it out. You can play follow the leader with it, but otherwise, it's still not all that useful. Thanks, Servo. CL means sky in French, and she's our good friend from the last game. She's the one who revived us in the abandoned lab. I'm going to be cutting out here for a bit because they have a nice tender reunion moment, and I wouldn't want to spoil that for them. CL with the exposition, thank you very much, the new players appreciate it. This game really likes its intro dialogue. I promise that most of the game isn't like it. Zero 2 just has a very, very, very lengthy exposition section. Now, trans servers are no longer in this game. Instead of having the interconnected areas, this one reverts back to the mission hub thing of past Mega Man games, which means that we are not going to be using trans servers to feed or use elves. Instead, CL takes that role. If we want to use them, we just go to her, talk to her, and feed them through her, as we'll be seeing right now. We can choose to download them, feed them, all the things we could do in the last game. We won't be doing it, but this is how you do it. You can select 3 at a time. You can't use the big ones without feeding them E-crystals. And that's about it. Of note is that blinking cyber elf in the background. You could also see it in the nice painted still back during the lengthy cutscene. That is the cyber elf she is now referring to. So apparently El Paizo, our new commander, used to work in Neo Arcadia, and in fact brought that elf back with him. Interesting little notes. I'd like to bring your attention to the blue and yellow-haired people down there. Their names are Isosu and Pasosu, I believe. They'll be in the thread. Their only real significance is that they look different from the rest. You can just assume that they're commanders, but it's interesting that they went out of their way to give them unique sprites. The game really likes to stress this whole feud between Zero and El Paiso, despite the fact that they've only known each other for a good 5 minutes. Zero apparently only wishes to work for CL, but he has no real reason to refuse his request, so we're still going to go through with it. This is one of those dumb questions in games where just if you choose no, they'll just say, okay, yeah, sure, don't help, and then you get to walk around for a bit and you can't do anything until you come back and say yes, so we're not even going to bother with that. Unlike the last game, the profile pictures from the X series are returning, so we can see the friendly faces of the Mavericks, Mutos Reploids, before actually entering the missions. The missions are, fight Hylig Orabuckle to rescue a Reploid, fight Polar Camros to destroy the computer zone, fight Fignus Mangyan while destroying the power room, and fight Panther Flawclaws while robbing the goods from a train of Neo Arcadia. We can also choose to speak with El Paiso, but that doesn't really accomplish anything. The two other people up there are named Rouge and June, and I'm probably completely butchering that pronunciation. And their names mean red and yellow in French respectively. Should be rather obvious who they are, just check the hair colors. You talk to them to transfer back to old areas if you want to collect cyber elves or level up your weapons, but we won't be doing that because we want to level our weapons naturally in this run. We're actually done for now, and I'll see you next episode. Thanks for watching!